What is up? Welcome to episode 10 of EtsyJam. In this episode, we talk about the hidden meaning of 10, unendorsed ways of stimulating creativity, the zen of IKEA instructions, and putting your customers to work. What is up, guys? Welcome to episode 10 of EtsyJam. What you just were treated to there was a custom rendition of our new theme song music straight from the mind of Richie. We got into a lot of trouble with the last piece of music we were using, lawyers and all kinds of craziness. And so we have to do our own custom thing now. No, that's completely not true. But we thought it'd be fun for Richie to play something. So episode 10. We got kind of a mix of things we want to talk about today. One of the things is 10. 10's that maybe it seems like a lot, maybe it doesn't seem like a lot. But if you've ever sat down to do something, to like a podcast, a video podcast, a blog, something like that, and you have to come up with 10 ideas for things, it can be kind of tough sometimes. And by the time you get to 10, you've either hit a groove and you feel like, hey, this is cool, like I know what I'm doing here. Or by the time you get to 10, you're feeling like, this is a bit more tedious than I expected. You know, maybe it's something that you're crafting, and by the time you're done with 5 of those things, you're like, man, I really wish I hadn't sold this, because this is way harder to keep making these, and I'm not getting more efficient as time goes by. So that's one of the things we want to talk about is 10, in episode 10, and where we're at with that here in EtsyJam. We've had 10 episodes so far, and we've had some guests sprinkled throughout. It's been pretty fantastic, and we've got plenty of other ideas on the table and other guests lined up for future episodes, but that's one of the things we wanted to talk about was 10.
10. Well, 10 doesn't seem like that big of a number, because let me tell you, I can count them right here. That's 10. 10 seems kind of small. And actually in our Fail Forward episode, I talked about it anyway. I mentioned, who knows? I mean, it was like episode 3 or 4. I wasn't sure if we'd make it to 10, but here we are. But how many times have we had to re-record? We're re-recording this one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we were just talking about that today. And, out of 10 episodes, having to re-record 2 of them because of, technical difficulties or issues that arose, that's kind of a lot, right? And we were talking about
20%.
it too. 20% failure rate. Like, that's not good. Random issues. But we kind of rotated that back too to our episode that we had 2 or 3 or whatever, which was Failing Forward, right? Six
That's
Sigma.
not Six Sigma.
That's not
20% is not going to get you that.
That's a whole other episode. 6 Sigma, man. We should do a crash course in 6 Sigma.
Why you should implement that in your Etsy shop?
Or not. I mean, either way. It's an interesting topic.
Gordon will teach you operational statistics.
I mean, there's maybe some. Okay, we're not going to do 6 Sigma as an episode. Never mind. It's terrible idea.
Just-in-time order inventory management.
Well, maybe, that kind of fits.
You never know.
But yeah, no, one of the things we talked about in episode 2 or 3 was failing forward, right? And so with each failure that we've had here and having to re-record these episodes, we've learned something, and it's helped push us in hopefully a better direction, right? Obviously, we're just trying things, and we keep trying different things, and whenever something doesn't work, we try something else. But the whole idea is to eventually land on something that doesn't have a 20% failure rate.
Yeah, we learned that the Blab platform didn't do a great job of recording for us.
Yep.
We learned that the library actually had pretty unreliable internet once you actually put it to the test. It was great when we were there every other time.
Yeah.
But when we put it to the test, it didn't seem to work that great.
Yep.
Recording locally, that actually didn't seem to work that great either, because there was failure in that.
Yep.
We did it like twice and it failed once, so that's like a 50% failure rate right there. That's not very good. So yeah. And it's kind of challenging to keep up on like a particular schedule with the podcast, which is why we're recording this one off schedule. So
secret off schedule, off site. We're not even on Blab on this one.
No, it's like private. No, which is a good point, because now we're trying out Skype with a Skype recorder.
Yep.
But then tomorrow we're going to try the same setup, but then try to broadcast to our Facebook page and share it to our Facebook group. So I like that we're doing it more controlled in the sense that we're only like layering on one extra thing. Okay, Skype plus the recorder.
Right.
Then tomorrow it's like, okay, if this works, which hopefully it does, fingers crossed, then we throw one more thing in the mix.
Yeah.
And then hopefully the biggest mistake is like something happens to the live part of the feed, but we still have the recording and then can just profusely apologize for those who tried to watch it live.
Yeah.
But yeah, 10. Seriously, this does not seem like that many.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. That's.
But if you've been there, right, and I've been there, where you're trying to write blog posts and coming up with 10 things to talk about, that can be tough. It's easy for me too when I'm writing something, especially or creating some kind of content, to naturally, when I'm talking about this one thing, I kind of start to go off on tangents and talk about different things because I get so excited about it and I want to like, oh, I can talk about this and oh, I can write about that. When in reality, it might be better for me to like break those out and make those separate blog posts or something like that.
Absolutely. And sometimes I'll be like, wow, yeah, I could write about this forever. What that means typically is I've got about 3 to 5 things to say. I've got, when I really look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, I was like just kind of a couple thoughts about those other ones. Yeah, there's really only like 3 to 5 things that I like really have to say about this topic.
And I'm out of things. Yeah, right there.
Yeah. Well, it's easy to also like address those things or think through those things and get bored with them yourself.
Yeah. Because
it almost feels like you've already had the conversation, so why are you going to have the conversation again? But you kind of fail to forget that you haven't talked to anybody else about it.
Yeah.
A long time ago, I don't even remember who said it. It was probably some sort of
Mark Twain.
Rock star band or something.
No, not Mark Twain.
Not Mark Twain. But there's a lot of good Mark Twain quotes.
Blink-182.
Maybe. We'll say it was them. But it was something along the lines of paraphrasing that you don't stop playing a song when you're tired of it. You stop playing a song when the fans are tired of it.
Yeah.
Because you play this song however many times a day, day after day after day, especially when you're on tour, especially when that song was something you released like 20 years ago. You're playing it over and over, but those fans are just like hungry to hear it because they're not tired of it. You might be, but they're not. So like, it's really important when you put stuff out there, if people are consuming your stuff, even if it's like for work or something like that, there's still a purpose of entertainment to it, right? People definitely are going to consume the content, even if it's for learning from the people they resonate with and the people that like make it enjoyable.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of the same thing, right? Like just because you're tired of talking about something doesn't mean your audience is tired of it.
Yeah. Kind of along those same lines, I was reading an article a long time ago about some band who was trying to find a replacement bassist. And they were like a funk band, I think. And they had a bunch of these people come in who were like super qualified, these amazing bass players, and to play with the band. And it's always kind of like a mix of you need to have good mechanic skills, you need to be able to play well, but at the same time you need to be able to fit with the band that you're playing with, right? You can't just have any bassist in there. It has to jive well. So they've got this bassist in there, and they said that they knew they found the right one when they found a bassist who could come in and just play the same riff over and over and over and over again and not feel like he had to like show off or embellish this thing or go off on a tangent, and was just totally comfortable just playing the same thing over and over and over consistently, like not making mistakes or anything, but like he was totally cool just playing this and letting the rest of the band kind of do their thing, and they can add the frills and stuff like that. So again, it was kind of like the idea of like, he didn't play till he was sick of it. He just kept playing the same thing until the band said, all right, that's it. We're done. The song's over. Like, good. You're in. You're hired.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I kind of never really thought of it that way.
I could definitely see how that's important, like super important for performing.
Yeah.
Because once you get to a certain point, it's like, I don't want to. I want to embellish it. But the fans are out there. That's like the first time they've been to the concert. Yep. And what they're expecting to hear is what they heard in the car, on the CD, on the way there.
Yep.
And then when you change it, they're like, no, it's different.
Yeah.
Stop it.
One of the other podcasts I listen to is still untitled, The Adam Savage Project. And if any of you are fans of Mythbusters like I am, you'll enjoy this podcast a lot. It's done by Adam Savage. Jamie Heinemann's not in it, but it's Adam with 2 other guys, and they talk about all kinds of different things. One of the things they were talking about is the Mythbusters tour that they went on. And again, in the line with performing, these guys are putting on the same show multiple times a week for months. Like they have like a 6-month, 8-month tour program where they're on a bus stopping in different cities and performing the same show over and over again every night. And Adam said that like for him, it gets really, really monotonous, right? Doing the same thing over and over. But he acknowledges that fact of performing. He's a good performer that, you know, the audience, it has to seem fresh to them. They don't want to show up and see these guys, the Mythbusters, show up live. This is the only time they ever see these guys live. And they're just like going through the motions, right? So he's sensitive to that. And in order for him to keep it fresh, they introduced something different in like every single show. There's one thing that they would do. The rest of the show was like all the same or whatever, but there'd be one thing, like maybe they'd throw in like this additional experiment or some kind of audience involvement or something like that to keep it interesting for him and Jamie. But that also kind of feeds the energy for the rest of the show that then treats the audience to a more engaging and energizing performance than if they were just kind of like going through the motions.
It's especially when it's something like myth busting. It's like, all right, are we going to bust this myth? And like, he's been busting this myth for months already. He knows exactly what's going to happen.
It's already going to be busted, guys. I tell you right now, we're going to do this. Right? It's like, going to be busted.
Keeping that enthusiasm up sounds tough. You know what I'm thinking there, though? The whole time you're talking about this, I'm thinking of like just like a bad like magic show. A bad magic show where someone's just like, you know, like really unenthusiastic, like, ooh, to pull something out of the hat, like, oh, look, I've got this coffee mug. What's in it? I don't know. Oh my, holy crap! There's a monkey in my coffee mug. Look at this.
And is this your card? Of course it is. I know that's your card because I do this all the time. Oh wait,
there's more. There's a small snake in my coffee mug. What else could I possibly fit in here? Oh, it's a guy in a Jeep. Look at this. It's actually a full-size Jeep I just pulled out of there.
I honestly think we're being treated to a magic show right now. This is kind of fantastic.
Oh, I think there's one more thing. What is it? It's a turtle. It's a sea turtle. I hear these are really popular, by the way.
Sea turtles? Or like sticky sea turtles?
Sea turtles in general.
Oh.
Yeah, I hear they're very popular right now.
What do you mean popular? Like popular with other animals?
Well, Dan over on the Making on an Etsy video podcast show, he the other day was showing a sea turtle phone case, because he makes laser engraved phone cases. And he said that right now, anything sea turtle wise is super popular.
Crazy.
So it's kind of a tip. So if you've got something that a sea turtle will fit with, these are super popular. So get one.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to stick it right here in my mug.
You heard it here first, guys. I mean, jump on this. Ride the wave.
Ride the wave.
Maybe you didn't hear it here first. Maybe you heard it on Dan's show first. But
like,
you heard it here second.
Yeah. We're repeating it. We're reiterating it. Sea turtles.
That's right.
Look how much better that is.
I kind of like it.
Yeah. Right? And I'm still on there, right?
Yeah.
But now there's also a sea turtle. Yeah. Put those in your family photos too. You know, if you have a family photo that doesn't have a sea turtle, send it over to Gordon. He'll throw one in there, send it back, and put that on your mantle. You know, you'll love it. You will love it.
Conversation starter. Is that a sea turtle? Yeah, that's Fred.
I feel like that was a good segue.
I feel like that was a terrible segue.
I feel like that's a good segue. A terrible segue is the one that stops while you're riding and you fly off the front and break your teeth. That's a terrible segue.
What? I'm confused now. Do you mean the segue into sea turtles, or the segue from sea turtles to the next thing we were going to segue to?
Oh, I was thinking, well, if you're segueing somewhere, we've got to end the show because you can't leave.
I'm so confused.
Actually, now I want to talk about something else. I'm talking about the little riding the scooter Segway things.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I was talking about that documentary about riding the Segways, the 10 miles per hour.
Oh, I didn't see that. Is that on Netflix?
I don't know. It's not worth seeing, though.
Okay, I'm not going to see it. But actually, something I like
documentaries, too, but it was kind of slow. I mean, no pun intended, right? He's on a Segway.
Can everyone raise their left wrist real quick? What What do you got right there, Gordon?
I got a bracelet. My daughter made me a bracelet. We went to Indiana. I'll take it off here so I can hold it in front of the camera better. We went to Indiana and visited her grandmother. Her grandmother gave her some gifts. One of them was like these little things that you can make bracelets out of. So she made me a bracelet. I don't know if that's forward or backward. Is that backward? Is that forward? I'm not sure which way is which.
It's
But it's got my
upside.
name on it. That's upside down?
Mhm.
Yeah.
How about that?
There you go.
How about
Look
that?
at that, Gordon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. So she made me a little bracelet. So I wear my little bracelet now.
Like it. You look
I'm not
very
much of a
artsy
bracelet
right now.
guy, but I'll do it.
You are now.
I like it. It's cool. And she used orange, it's a shoelace actually. All of the bracelets are beads and shoelaces, and she used an orange shoelace for the inside because she knows that's my favorite color.
Nice. Wait, she didn't use that for Marmalead?
That too. That's why Marmalead's orange.
Is that why?
Because yellow is Richie's favorite color and orange is mine.
That's not true.
Not yet.
My favorite color is blue.
That's
which
why
is
the
why the
background is
background
kind of
of
a
Marmalead.
bluish green. Yeah.
It is a good color. I like that color.
Is your favorite color yellow, Kevs? Maybe it was for Kevs. Maybe that's what I was thinking.
Mine was blue too. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Someone liked yellow somewhere. My dad likes yellow. We didn't consult him.
Speaking of colors, something I read, I'll call it learned, but I'm not sure how accurate it is. But I'm told that the whole pink for girls and blue for boys was actually something that like came into like effect in like the 70s or something like that.
Is that because they had black and white TV before that?
Maybe. So people didn't know the color existed. Kind of like Pleasantville. Maybe. But actually, apparently everything was kind of like gender neutral as far as that went. But they actually, before they made this switch, before fashion designers decided to make this switch, pink was actually thought to be more masculine.
Yeah.
Which if you like look at older stuff that is still actually in color, you'll see a lot more like, men wearing pink and stuff like that because it was thought to be more masculine. And then fashion designers kind of switched it up later. And then apparently 80s parents kind of like really embraced the change of it.
Yeah.
And that's why we have it.
Interesting.
Apparently studies show that the majority of people in general, regardless of gender, actually prefer blue over pink anyway.
Yeah, I don't know that many people. I guess, I don't know. There's lots of kids, you ask them what their favorite color is, they'll say pink. But as far as adults, I don't think I've ever heard an adult say pink is their favorite color. Okay, scratch that. One adult in my life has said that pink is her favorite color.
There you go.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it's a lot of different colors out there to pick from, a lot of different people that you can ask about that. You'd think that pink would be more popular, right?
You would think so.
I know that. I mean, it's kind of interesting because pink kind of came back as a power color for men, right? They always say like, "Oh, your pink shirt is your power shirt or your power tie or whatever," and you're wearing pink. So I wonder if that kind of goes back to the way things were before gendrification. Is that what that's called?
It is now. Gendrification. I think we've talked about this a couple of years ago, actually, Gordon. But drunk tank pink. Do you remember that conversation?
Drunk tank pink?
Yep, drunk tank pink.
I don't think so.
It's the name of a book which I haven't read, but it's also I read the concept behind the title, or I heard the author talk about the concept behind the title, and it's a subtle psychological effect. And apparently they call it drunk tank pink. It's Pepto-Bismol pink, basically.
Oh, yes, I do remember this conversation.
So that kind of like chalky pink. Yeah. And apparently they started painting like the insides like drunk tanks and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Where like you put like aggressively drunk people, and apparently has like an odd calming effect on people.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned it because you've heard of this, but apparently one of the college football stadiums actually painted their entire visiting team's locker room this color of pink.
Yeah.
And apparently there are studies where it actually does reduce like the
aggression.
testosterone.
Yeah. This is true. No, that's Iowa Hawkeyes that did that. Yep.
Isn't that crazy? There's actually a
visiting
physiological effect of the chemistry in your body simply because you're surrounded by this like chalky pink color.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I don't know why. Did they have a rationale? I don't remember that.
I don't remember if there was a rationale. Apparently this is one of those things that, like, I don't know, it happens. I'm sure there's rationale somewhere. I'm sure someone some sort of neurologist had looked at it at some point and was like, hey, this is why that happens.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. All I know is that color apparently has a calming effect on people. It's just crazy.
It is pretty nuts. I mean, it is kind of crazy too when you look at just all of the different emotions that colors evoke and how each color kind of has different hidden meaning. Whether you realize it or not, when you see a color, you're associating it with different feelings.
In our attic, in the old house, it was this like bright yellow, this like psychopath yellow, right? And if you spend, the whole thing was painted this. We're talking ceiling was painted this color, the walls were painted this color, everything was this color except for like this bright blue carpet. And if you spent enough time up there, which didn't even take that much time to spend up there, you would feel so wired, like so just like frazzled. And the kids would get frazzled too, like they'd just go nuts. And it's amazing how that color, like when you first go up there, you're like, whoa, this is bright. But then once you're up there for a little while, like it starts to get, you feel like it's becoming normal, right? But still having this weird effect on you.
Yeah.
I could not imagine being able to sleep in a bedroom that was that color. You know, like, so they interior decorators and stuff will tell you like different colors to like, you know, soothing colors like lavender, apparently like a good color to have like in a bedroom because like kind of like calm and sleepy. This yellow? No, you don't want that.
I've always heard that yellow stimulates creativity. So that would make sense that it would amp you up.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You could probably get pretty creative in that space.
With no sleep.
A lot of crazy energy. Yeah. Actually, now that you mentioned no sleep, apparently being tired, you actually are more creative. So I was reading an article. I don't know. I get all these articles coming on my email. And I don't even remember who did it. It was Trello. It was Trello, I think. They sent me an email from their blog about how, like, when you're really tired and not feeling more productive, like, how do you make the most of your day? Like, how do you still have a productive day when you just feel really tired and kind of bogged down and you don't feel like you're on the top of your game? And one of their things was focus on more creative type tasks because you actually are more suited to do those when you're tired, which makes sense because late at night is typically when I get more of these ideas. Like if I'm looking for ideation, the mornings probably aren't the best time. Afternoons, maybe after lunch when I'm a little bit tired. But at night, when I'm more tired, it seems like these ideas just more readily flow.
You know what else helps make you more creative?
What?
Not eating. No joke.
And beer.
No joke. They beer too. Yeah, there's this startup called Nootropics out in California who's encouraging their employees not to eat on Tuesdays. And so they basically, the last meal they eat is Monday for dinner. So then they go, you know, more than 24 hours without eating. And then they have breakfast on Wednesday. But the idea being that if you fast for a whole day, it increases some kind of chemical in your body and it allows you to be more creative.
I wonder how that works with your metabolism. That's interesting. That makes you more creative. I wonder how that like affects your metabolism. Because if you're doing it once, right? Like sometimes, you know, like, you know, you get like blood work done or something like that. They're like, hey, fast. That's typically not even 24 hours. But that's like a one-time thing.
Yeah.
But I wonder how your body would get used to like, well, it's Monday and you're not going to eat tomorrow.
It like plans for it in its own cycle.
Right?
I
Like,
don't know.
does your body start to like put away calories at that point? Because it's like, I'm not sure what the next meal is going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or is the benefit of, you know, the creativity that you gain on Tuesday totally wasted on Wednesday because everyone's all super lethargic because they just had a huge breakfast because they were starving and now they can't think at all?
There's like all sorts of crazy breakfast, like heavy pizza.
They should do that on a Friday. So then that way when you're all lethargic, it's the weekend.
I just ate a whole Supreme pizza for breakfast. So much meat. My eyes are halfway open.
But you have that planning meeting. Yeah, I'm in a nap.
So I think the takeaway from this is we want to hear what you do to get creative.
Yeah.
Do you fast? Do you stay up really late, sleep deprive yourself? Right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you like to do?
Let us know how it goes.
For legal reasons, we're not encouraging you to do anything. But if you take it upon yourselves to do anything interesting, let us know.
Yeah.
Because we want to hear about what you do to get more creative.
Yeah. Is it music? Is there some kind of music you like to listen to? Makes you feel more
Music,
creative?
fast. You know, is there like a sweet spot of like having some beers that make you more creative? That's another thing we talked about in the past, Gordon, because there was that article at the one point that was like, hey, if you want to get the creative juices flowing, you know, you gotta have a couple drinks, and kind of takes down some roadblocks for some good ideation.
You know what else I've heard a lot of startups are doing that we also don't legally condone? Microdosing LSD. So taking enough to, I guess, make you kind of trip a little bit, but not affect you too badly. But this is like a thing. Like lots of startups out there are doing this, especially with like designers and programmers and stuff like that that want to kind of get a little bit more creative in their solutions to how they're doing their work.
Seriously, this is like becoming a mainstream thing.
This is a thing. Yeah, of course it's not legal in the States, right? Like we're still working on marijuana here, but LSD is certainly not legal. And people are doing this. They're taking like small doses.
In the US?
Yeah, in California.
Could you imagine how much trouble you'd like first, you know, I don't know. I feel like like how well do you know the people that like everybody in your company? Like it takes like one person to like, you know,
take too much.
Go to that or like tell people about it. Like, you know, you go Thanksgiving and, you know, have a few too many drinks and you're like, hey, yeah, and every Tuesday my company microdoses LSD.
We don't eat, but we do LSD.
Right? And next thing you know, the DA is at the door. And it's like, that's not like someone's in trouble then. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, if that's what you do to get creative, you don't have to share that with us. But yeah, otherwise, would love to hear.
Or you could. Ideas. You could share that with us because we'd like to know how that works.
We'll have you on as a
something
guest.
You're already doing.
We'll seat you in front of like a window or something, you know, disguise your voice. Be totally safe. Or, you know, maybe you're in like Amsterdam or whatever and it's legal there and you don't care to talk about it. It's fine.
There you go. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah. I don't know if LSD is legal in Amsterdam. I don't know.
I feel like everything is.
That's kind of, that was my perception too, but that's probably just naive. I don't know.
Yeah, it probably is. That's probably my ignorance to the world, but you know, still. Interesting. You know, if that is legal there and that does become a thing, I could definitely see if that actually becomes a thing and stuff, I could see like almost a trend of where like I'm gonna have my creative team over in Amsterdam.
Oh yeah.
Because then you're not breaking any laws.
Yeah.
You're like, I've got my creative team here that does like, you know, maybe execution and follow through. I've got my creative team over here in Amsterdam. They're kind of like the think tank. So they get together on video and these guys are just like, they're not like tripping like crazy, obviously, because that's not gonna, you know, do anybody any good, right? Like Fear and Loathing Las Vegas style. That's not going to help anybody. But maybe like these microdosing, they're over here and these guys are over here like, I can take something of value from that, right? And they're like putting it down, trying things. Yeah. But that's interesting concept.
You know, and maybe you set it up like tiers, right? So you do have the people who are like crazy into it and they're just like coming up with these ridiculous ideas. And then you have your team that like does it a little bit and they can kind of interpret and understand and appreciate some of that, but it tones it down a little bit, right? And then you get it back to your sober people who look at it and they're like, yeah, we can use that. And this teddy bear thing is not, that doesn't fit.
We could make it like okay for the public. So like take it from something that like, no, you don't tell people you came up with that, but we can tame it down to this.
Yeah.
You know, that might not be a bad idea.
Yeah.
To figure out, to open up some sort of like creative shop over somewhere where this type of thing is okay.
Yeah. Maybe they come up with all kinds of weird ideas and they're like, dude, you know what we're going to do? We're going to make instructions that don't have words.
That is, you know, that's crazy in its own right. That's crazy in kind of its own Zen type of right. So, you know, like we talked about before, you know, IKEA furniture, I had an interesting experience, Zen-like moments, followed by lots of rage, followed by lots of Zen-like moments. Where I'm putting together IKEA furniture, like way more IKEA furniture than anyone should ever put together.
You want to give a little backstory on why you're suddenly into putting together so much IKEA furniture?
Oh yeah. I found it tough to meditate, so I figured that I'd force myself by buying IKEA furniture.
I thought you said it stimulated your creativity.
It does. It does stimulate your creativity. So the reason I bought a bunch of IKEA furniture is because I decided to up and move from Cleveland, Ohio, down to Orlando, Florida, to go check out a new place.
It was all because of LeBron James, and I get it, man. I get it.
But then I learned he came back to Cleveland.
No, I thought that's why you left.
Oh no, I thought he was down here in Miami.
Oh no. Oh
so
no.
For the past like 5 years, I've been trying to get down here.
Oh no.
To follow him. And then I got down here and I'm like, where is he? And they're like, dude, he went back. And I was like, you're joking, right? They're like, dude, he just won a championship in Cleveland.
Oh,
the first championship in like 50 years. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was wondering why they didn't have any James jerseys at the Heat shop.
Or why they're all like 80% off.
I also thought Orlando was Miami, so that was confusing too. Did you know they have their own basketball team here?
In
Magic?
Orlando?
Yeah.
I remember that, yeah, with Shaquille way back in the day.
Right? I thought Orlando and Miami were kind of like Cleveland and Akron, and I was super confused.
Yeah.
None of that's true either. Except that I did move to Florida to escape the cloudy weather of Cleveland, just check out something new for a new home base, which has been interesting. It's been interesting to have a new home base. I don't think it'll be a permanent home base, actually.
No?
But no, I think that we're actually going to want to like exhaust what there is to explore down here. There's a lot of state parks and fun stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff that we wouldn't otherwise like take vacations down here to do, or it would take a lot of vacations to do.
Yeah.
But now that we have a home base here, there's a bunch of stuff within driving distance that we can really kind of take in.
Yeah.
So we'll probably do that. And then once we've kind of exhausted it, probably move on to another place.
You know what I would suggest? I would suggest waiting till LeBron moves somewhere else and then go there so you don't make the mistake again.
You think I should do that?
Yeah. Like set up a Google alert or something.
Oh, there we go. That was my mistake. Fail forward, right? Next time, set up a Google alert.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course, moved. Shed all of our furniture.
Right.
So like, got rid of all that. So I had to get like all new stuff. Which led us to IKEA because in IKEA, like 45 minutes away, which is pretty great.
Yeah,
especially
really
since
convenient.
They delivered everything too, which would have. It was 36 boxes.
Wow.
Because they break everything into tiny boxes. Even a couch comes in a box.
Wow.
So 36 boxes, 600 pounds worth of furniture. Didn't really feel like lugging that around IKEA. And then even if we did,
it in the van,
that wouldn't have fit. There's no way.
You'd have to stack it pretty tall.
That would, yeah. Probably like an unsafe level. Probably like stack it up, and then the van would just kind of like tip over like this.
Yeah. You'd have to avoid any kind of like overpasses.
Oh my gosh. IKEA furniture everywhere. Like a nightmare. But it was interesting putting it all together. Like I said, it was kind of interesting zen. There are no words in IKEA furniture.
Yeah.
It is all pictures. And it is all like, it's kind of like these pretzels, right? And it's like, hey, not this pretzel, but this one. And there's like 15 of them, of like each. But it's like, hey, find the difference in the pieces. And it's like, I don't know. Like this one has a little bit more salt sprinkled on it and this one doesn't. And it's like, exactly. So find the 15 that look like this one, not this one. Don't mess it up. But instead of saying all that, they do all with pictures.
Right.
Like they'll circle it and put like an X and they'll be like, this one is like check mark. Good. It's good.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, wait a minute. What's the difference? And you look at it for like minutes trying to find the difference. It's like a Where's Waldo map or something that's crazy. And then when they tell you how to put this stuff together, you're like, this won't work. There's no way this is going to work. And you try to like think ahead, like where's this going?
Right.
And if you ever put an extra screw in somewhere because you think you're saving yourself a step on the next page, it will get you. It's almost like they know.
Yeah.
So like, hey, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't try to outthink this. You know, it's very Zen like that.
I've definitely had
Just
situations
enough
where I'm putting
information.
together IKEA furniture and, you know, I don't pay as close of attention as I should be to where the holes are going, whether it's the front of the unit or the back of the unit or whatever. And I get stuff together to the point where I'm almost done and I'm like putting the door on and it's like, wait, there's no hole in the front for the door to fit into. Like, you have to be kidding me. Like, I need to
So
take this
true.
all apart now. Unless I want the door on the back, which, whatever. Sometimes I don't even care. Like, whatever. Doors on the back. Fine, that's how it goes. Everyone can wonder why.
Wait, you wanted to put books on your bookshelf? Oh. You should have seen page 7. Actually, they even have page numbers?
I don't know.
They might actually have page numbers.
They might do page numbers. I think
They
they do
definitely have-
numbers. Because I think they
they do
show you
have
like
numbers.
quantities of stuff.
Correct. And sometimes they'll even name things. Well, actually, they're numbers.
Mm.
The screws and everything are labeled by number,
Mhm.
and like all the other little parts. Actually, a lot of the parts, like the pieces, the chunks, like the shelves and these other pieces,
Yeah.
they don't have like a number or a name. Sometimes furniture manufacturers put like labels. They're like, hey, put A to B.
Mhm.
You know? No, not them. They're like, hey, you see this thing that like, you know, has like a very subtle difference from the one on the other side? Like, you're gonna want to put those together in like visual form. Just a little picture, a little sketch.
Mm.
It's crazy, but also very Zen. Like, you really have to let go of thinking ahead and like live in the moment and not try to outthink it, and understand that you have just enough information at any given point that is like a very need to know basis.
Yeah. But that's all you
They would
get. Like, you
Oh,
get
yeah.
that picture and that's it.
They would be like excellent spies, because that whole need to know thing they take super seriously. Like, oh, you want to know what happens next? You don't need to know yet, because you're not
Don't worry
done.
about it.
You'll
Don't
know what
flip
happens
forward.
next once you finish this page.
Yeah.
But if you flip forward, you'll get it wrong, because now you're going to know too much. And if you
Yeah.
know that, we can't get you to do this first.
Yeah. Then maybe you would have put the door on the front if you had flipped forward.
Right.
Now you don't get the pleasure of undoing all your work.
If you don't like design IKEA furniture, I feel like you can't flip forward. Maybe if you're like an IKEA designer and like that's some sort of like Zen master, then and only then can you flip forward.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it like slaps your hand real hard, almost literally, because your hand starts to cramp up from those little tools after a while.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It makes me wonder how they test their instructions too, right? Like, since they are an international company and people buy IKEA furniture from everywhere, you know, do they have people from all these different countries, you know, different dialects and languages and everything, putting these things together just using the pictures? It seems like you'd have to. I mean, even if you had furniture that did have written instructions, you'd probably want to test those written instructions with people that speak those languages. Maybe they found it's easier to not have words and just test, you know, spot check around the world if people can understand the instructions.
I think that makes sense, because even if you write out the words, you still have to see if people around the world are going to be able to follow these instructions
Yeah.
to put it together.
I mean,
so
you
at least
would
this
think
time,
so, right? Like, I'm sure there's things that I've put together that were never tested against the English instructions that I was using because they were impossibly difficult to follow. But you would think that someplace like IKEA would want to test that.
well, let me ask you this too. How often do you read the instructions for anything other than IKEA furniture?
Yeah, it's a good point. It depends what it is, right? Like, if I'm putting something together, like I bought a new propane grill not that long ago, right? And I followed the instructions for that to put it together because I didn't want to mess it up. Like, I didn't want to hook up the hoses to the propane wrong and, you know, put my family in danger.
Yeah.
So something like that. But again, if it's something that's more technology related, I'm kind of more inclined to not even look at the directions and just be like, I got this.
Agreed. If it maybe it has to do with like a number of parts, because I feel like grills sometimes. I remember one time, it's been a long time, but I bought a grill a long time ago, and I'm thinking like, it's a big box, right? Like, they've probably got a lot of the stuff put together, like
Yeah.
the things that should be pretty obvious.
Yeah.
No, this thing was in all sorts of pieces, and I'm like, this doesn't even make sense the way they have it laid out. How is this supposed to go together? And it was another one of the situations where I sort of paid attention to the directions, sort of didn't.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't put the doors on. It was
They were
like
on the back.
no, because I went together, and the only way to put the doors on were to take it apart and then slide the doors in and put it back. And it's like, why?
You know, the other thing that's kind of funny too is I think the people in the company who make the directions for something and the people who decide how to fit all of the pieces into the box don't ever talk to one another. Just once, I would love to get something where I open up the box, the instructions are on top, you know, my kit of all the hardware I need is right there, and the first piece that I pull out is the first piece that the instructions reference, and I can just, you know, work out of the box. But I feel like so many times, I have to take everything out of the box because the first thing I need is the thing that's on the bottom.
Yep.
Although maybe I just had the box upside down.
I'm constantly with the IKEA furniture. I found that it was easiest to open the box, take everything out, and kind of organize things. And like, so if you do have like several of the same parts, like put those together. Yeah. Like not like assemble them, but like keep them in the same area so that when you come across, like you're flipping through and you're like, okay, I need something that, you know, looks like this pretzel. Then I know like, oh, here's the pile of things that look like this pretzel. Instead of like being like, oh my God, they're missing the piece. In fact, one of the pieces, it was a simple thing too. One of these small dressers that we bought, maybe even a nightstand. That was a dresser. One of the small dressers we bought was actually missing a piece. A whole freaking piece.
What'd you do?
So like held the whole thing together. Well, we went back to IKEA. And they've got a whole thing for like returns and missing parts.
Yeah.
So you go there and you grab a number, and they basically have all these like IKEA couches laid out. There's just a whole bunch of people hanging out on them, waiting to get called up. And then you go up there and you're like, hey, here's my instructions. I'm missing this piece.
Yeah.
And then they call back to the warehouse. The warehouse goes and brings them one of these boxes. They open up the box. They find the piece. They give you the piece.
And then they put the box back on the shelf.
Yeah, and then someone else comes in and is like, hey, this is missing a piece. But since they brought you back to IKEA, you're like, hey, as long as we're here, we should probably go eat. Yeah, and then we should probably, which we did. And then it's like, and last time we were here, we didn't buy those other things we kind of needed. So then you go walk around the whole thing, and then you buy more stuff.
Yeah. So you
think
it's
also
strategic?
Missing a piece. I don't really think it is,
think
but
since
it could
they
be.
shipped the stuff to you, they're like, you know what you got to do, Joe? You got to open one of those boxes and take one of the parts out. And it's like, oh, I always feel like such a jerk. And they're like, come on, Joe, you know it helps sales. Fine. I hate having to look them in the eye when I drop off the boxes, knowing that I stole one of his parts. Can't sleep at night.
I think they only do that to the ones when you go to the store, because that means you have to go to the store. But if they ship it to you, then like you've just got to call and they've got to mail it to you.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So there's not really a benefit.
Yeah. But even when you go to the store, like you pick up the stuff yourself, which is kind of cool. I mean, I kind of like that. The experience of IKEA, I really like that I can go there and do all of my shopping without ever having to talk to a salesperson, because I usually can't stand talking to salespeople. I can just go in and like find what I need to find and go into their big warehouse and be like, here we go, aisle 207, bin 32. Pull it out, throw it on my dolly, and put it in my car. Done. Right?
They'll help you if you go ask them for help, but they completely leave you alone.
Yeah.
If you don't go ask them. Right? You can do whatever you want. You could look as confused as you want to.
Yeah.
And no one is going to approach you and be like, hey, sir, you look very confused right now. Can I help you? No, they're just going to let you be confused. They're like, look, another one's having a Zen moment. Watch him go from super confused to enlightened.
All on his own.
Right? They're going to get a glimpse of that glimmer of enlightenment up here that we could possibly attain.
I mean, that kind of goes along with like the whole thing of put your own furniture together too. It's kind of like a very like DIY type attitude.
Right? Certainly is. Oh yeah. You trade a little bit of money for like years of your life and thousands of dollars of your own time.
I wonder what would happen if the salespeople were more involved. Like, would they end up with customers who like felt like they had a connection with somebody who sold them something, and then when they can't get it put together, they want to talk to that person?
I want to talk to Gordon right now. He was so
Gordon.
helpful in finding.
You said this was going to be great, Gordon.
This bookshelf is crooked. It's missing pieces.
Doors are on the back.
So we've talked about the IKEA effect before, have we?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yep.
have we not?
I know you and I did. I don't know if we talked about it on EtsyJam.
So the IKEA effect is something, just in case we did, I've forgotten. Maybe anybody that listened to a prior episode has forgotten as well.
If you didn't forget, just fast forward like 30 seconds.
The IKEA, coined by Dan Ariely, a behavioral economist at Duke University, in a book called Predictably Irrational. It's a very good book. Anyways, there is I guess it's natural, but and it's natural, but it's irrational. So there's an irrational love or appreciation for the things that you put time and effort in putting together. So call it the IKEA effect because you spend so much time putting things together, like a bookshelf. Well, by the time you're done putting this darn bookshelf together, you find yourself loving this bookshelf, right? Because you put in, actually, just because you put a lot of time into it, but you start thinking, you don't think about why you like it so much. That's kind of how the IKEA effect works. You don't know about it, but it just happens. So you spend hours putting it together, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I really love this bookshelf. This bookshelf is great. You know, this is the best bookshelf in the whole world. I've never seen one anything like this before, and it's wonderful. And everyone else is like, it's a bookshelf, dude. It's kind of like why people think that their kids are super special. I'm sure they are. I mean, I know mine are. Gordon, I know your kids are super special. Kevin, I'm sure when you have kids, they're going to be the best kids in the world as well, right? More special than even Gordon and I's, right? And it's the same kind of reason you put so much time and effort into them and everything, and like your house, like you've got absolutely the best house in the world, especially if you ever do any work on your house, like Gordon. It's the best house in the whole world. There's nothing like it. And then, you know, if you put a value on it, it's way more than like what the general public would, you know, like I wouldn't sell this bookshelf for anything because clearly it is the best bookshelf in the world and I could never replace it.
Mm-hmm. We bonded. Like I know that thing inside and out. I know how it's hooked together.
Absolutely. I know its flaws and I love them still. Maybe even more for it.
Yeah.
That's the IKEA effect. And something I've been thinking about is, so Etsy, big on handmade, obviously. How can you leverage the IKEA effect in the stuff you make? Mm-hmm. You know, like what can you do to get people to love the thing they bought from you an irrational amount? Not manipulating them in any way, but just knowing that when you put some effort into it, when you have to put the final touches on something or, you know, assemble something or like get a little bit committed to it, that you appreciate it more. Mm-hmm. I think it goes along like, where do you go with that? It's one of those things I think that you come across a lot, right? Like when you have a hand in doing something, whether it's a DIY project or whatever it is, like when you put some effort into something, I feel like you appreciate it more. You take better care of it than like if I just go and give you something for free, you know, like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people don't really appreciate that as much versus like, so there you go. Like that's an example in itself. Free versus something you buy. Mm-hmm. You get something for free and a lot of times
is lower.
Its perceived value is lower.
Yeah.
And you know, it's kind of a throwaway thing. Like whatever, it was free, you know, kick it around, throw it around, don't really take care of it. You know, don't clean it, stuff like that. Because it was free. Yeah. Right? I mean, it's free. Like whatever. You pay for something, you save for something, you put some work into something. Yeah. And all of a sudden you appreciate it. Which I feel like is almost doing someone a favor if you get them to that level. Because what type of world would it be if everything was just, how would you feel? How would we all feel as people if everything was a throwaway? If everything was like just meaningless? As meaningless as this paper towel, right? It's nothing. It's cheap. It's practically free. It came on a roll with how many other like it. Yeah. You know, I'm going to wipe up messes and just discard it. Well, imagine if these binoculars were that, right? And you just treat them like crap, right? You'd never appreciate anything. So I feel like we'd be doing people a favor if we could make them fall more in love with the world around them, with the products that they engage with. And I'm not trying to do it for everybody.
You know, it's interesting,
I
man.
think it'd be a worthwhile endeavor.
Kind of along the same lines of like putting in the work. I've noticed too, a lot of times when I'm eating something, like whether it's like a yogurt or applesauce or whatever, the container, the bottom of it is usually like some kind of funky shape, or it's got like some kind of etching on the sides or whatever. So I always feel like I'm like working to get the last bit of food out of this thing. And I always wonder, like, man, can't they make these things like smooth or like really friendly to be able to get this food out of this thing? But then it's kind of like, yeah, you know what? I wonder if it is that psychological thing that like, we know people are going to have to work harder to get the last bit of food out here. And hopefully when they're doing that, they're realizing how much they're enjoying it because they're working hard at getting the last of it out.
Ooh. Yeah, you work for your food a little bit more.
I don't know.
I feel like there was no, there was. Okay, so I'm not sure where I read about this study. There's another study where apparently every animal, humans, mice, rats, obviously that's not all the animals, but all the animals that were studied, and I think there were several more, they actually prefer to work for their food. So they did a study where they provided food to one set of them, the control, and they made the other ones, the test subjects, they made them work for their food. And they were actually, I don't know how you measure this in a rat or a mouse, but the scientists figured it out. They were happier and more like everything, more positive everything, working for their food. In fact, the only animal that didn't prefer to work for their food, guess what animal that is, Gordon?
I'm gonna guess
what
humans.
Animal do you think? No, humans preferred it. I already said that.
Between humans, rats, and
no.
Pigs.
I said that.
Elephants. Unicorns.
No, it's your favorite animal.
Tigers.
Close.
Sea turtles.
Your not real favorite animal. Like I was sarcastic. Your favorite animal in like a sarcastic way.
Oh, like not. Like your favorite animal. Not.
Right.
Like that. I really don't like deer because one hit our van once. Was it a deer?
No.
What else don't I like? Not a big fan of snakes.
You're killing me. It's cats.
I don't like cats. You're right.
So apparently, of all the animals that they studied here, prefer to like lounge around and have food just given to you versus working for food. Cats were the only one that actually preferred to just have food given to them.
Interesting.
They didn't actually want to work for food, but everything else, everyone else, actually got like a sense of, I don't know, I'm not sure if I want to say accomplishment because I'm not sure mice feel that, but they all preferred, in whatever metric they used, they all preferred to actually work for their food.
That's interesting. I know like some animals too, they, like lions, for example, right? The female lion is typically the one that goes out and hunts and kills the game, and then the male just comes and eats it, you know? So I wonder if that, like, if it crosses all kinds of cats, you know? Maybe like some of the cats are like the male lion who's just like, just bring me my food, you know? I don't know.
Nice.
That's interesting.
And the female lion's just like, well, if you're just gonna lounge around, I'm just gonna go get
it. Maybe. I don't know.
It's kind of like grocery shopping.
Yeah. It's so at the when we were, vacationing over 4th of July weekend, we were at a farm. Mm-hmm. They have like these cats that just kind of showed up one day on the farm, and they live kind of like in this like barn type structure that isn't really being used right now. And there's like a bunch of kittens. There's probably like 3 or 4 cats and probably like 8 kittens or something like that in this thing. It's kind of crazy. But one of the things that we saw was the mother cat would go out, I assume it was the mother, would go get food and then regurgitate it, and the kittens would then eat that, right? Kind of nasty, but it's the same thing that birds do. And so I wonder if that kind of plays into it too, right? Like the kittens are kind of brought up with like, just bring the food to me. Like they're not being taught to go hunt at that point to get the food for themselves, or like there's something that was killed and they got to go find it or whatever. I wonder if birds are the same way. Are birds happier when people bring them food? Was that in your study? Birds?
It was not. Well, I'm not sure if birds were, but I feel like pretty much like all infant animals are like provided for when they're small. I mean, same thing with people. Like,
Yeah.
when your kid is just born, you're not like, all right, go on and hunt for that food.
Yeah. Here's the stove. Here's your mac and cheese. Figure it out.
Right? Can't wait to see what you find. Meanwhile, they're just like laying on their back, like, feed me. Yeah. So now, obviously, like you pointed out, cats will go out and hunt and they will get food, and like they're voracious eaters of wildlife, right? So the study wasn't a matter of like, if this is their only option, will the cat just like sit here and die of starvation because no one's like, going to feed it? Like, no, that's not going to happen. But given the option of, here, I will just feed you and you can lounge versus like go out and hunt for your food, they preferred just, this. They pretty quickly apparently just became like, insatiated with like, no, I like this. I like the kind of, lounging on the couch, feeding me type thing.
So I think the takeaway is, don't buy your cat IKEA furniture.
They'll never put it together.
They won't.
I mean, you'll end up doing it for them.
Yeah.
I won't make that mistake again. Now, the takeaway, I think, is that if you sell something, whatever it is, if there is a way for you to get the purchaser somewhat committed to it, I think everyone's going to be happier. They're going to have a more positive outlook of your product, and I think they're actually going to be happier in their overall lives because they're going to get more satisfaction by actually doing something.
How much work is really required in this to get buy-in on it? Is it as simple as packaging? Because there's all those unboxing videos, right? And people really like things that are packaged beautifully, artfully, right? Like lots of Apple products are packaged just so it makes it fun to open these things because everything the tactile, it just feels good, like pulling this tab out of here and like undoing this plastic. And is that enough to get buy-in from your customer that they appreciated the work that they had to do to get at what they bought?
That might be. Maybe they know something about that. I would even suggest as far as putting your product inside a puzzle box that strains them mentally to get to. So by the time they finally open this thing, they're just ecstatic that they were able to solve this puzzle.
Months later.
Months later.
The gift for my mom was late, but I loved it.
But we had so much fun opening the box. Solving that puzzle really brought the family together. Just don't do that with perishables.
Yeah, that's a good point.
By the time I got to the caramel popcorn, it has been stale. But we had so much fun getting to it.
I feel like next time I could do it faster.
It could be something like packaging, though. Seriously, I mean, that could be it. It could be like letting them put some sort of finishing touch on it, right? So, if you sell something that's like hand painted, depending on what it is, of course, like don't send them like a canvas and like some paints and be like, that picture you bought.
Here you go. Here's your reference picture. Make it look like this.
Or like paint by numbers. But maybe something simple like, throw a little extra finishing touch on there, right? Touch this thing up a little bit. Do a little extra personalization. Snap something together.
I like that.
Right?
I like that. And if any of you are doing this right now, we'd love to hear about it.
Absolutely.
If you have anything that you're sending out that requires the purchaser to do a little bit of work, would love to know what that is. How that's
absolutely. And if you have any ideas for what you might do because maybe this has sparked an idea and you're like, hey, then maybe that's worth checking out. Yeah. We'd love to hear those ideas about what you might test out.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Email us.
Definitely email us. success@marmalead.com. I know that we've said email us several times, but unless you got to this point, you'd probably never heard it. Yeah. Success@marmalead.com. Or from within the app, really, you could use the whole little question mark thing and send a message through the app. Yep. Actually goes to the same exact place.
Yep, we read those too. Sometimes.
Yes, we do. To go to the same place.
No, I'm just kidding. I read them. For realsies.
We totally believe you, Gordon. Good stuff.
We had that other thing to talk about, but we're at an hour here, so I think we might want to punt that to another episode.
Like tomorrow?
Like tomorrow. Which, if anyone catches this one before the next one, you should definitely check out the next one. I think it's going to be a good topic. I'm excited about that. It's going to be cool.
It is a good topic.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. It's because it's one that, you know, we see a lot. I don't want to give too much away, but we see it a lot.
Yeah.
I have some pretty strong opinions on it.
Yeah.
And why not? I like to talk about things I have strong opinions on.
Yeah, I don't want to give away a lot either. It has to do with your customers, but I don't want to get too deep into it.
Sure does.
Yeah.
And listening to them and who to listen to and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a very important area. As far as like core business concepts, I feel like it's super important.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. So yeah, tune in for the next one for that.
Absolutely.
But tune into this one for information on IKEA furniture and cats and whatever the first thing we talked about was.
10. This looks easy, but it's not. Irrational behavior, IKEA effect, the zen of putting together IKEA furniture, all great things.
Yeah.
And at some point in the future, we'll do an episode where we play ukulele.
That's right.
Once we learn how to play it.
Do you want to play us out with this? Since you started to open it.
I did. Maybe this one could be more like the last one, kind of at a build up. Maybe this could kind of like bring us back down.
I like that.
And send us out that way.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, there'll be another episode where we talk about learning to do things like this. And I don't know, what do you call it when three people play an instrument?
A trio? Or is it like the same instrument? Because that would not be a trio. That'd just be challenging.
Like all of us have the same.
Yeah, we each take a different string and one of us gets two.
That'd be hard to do in video from different places.
Sure would. Press that one, Rich, on the 3rd fret.
Is this one the 3rd?
Yep, you got it.
All right. That sound how you wanted it to?
That's perfect.
All right, perfect. There you go. Brought down.
Beautiful. See you guys next time on EtsyJam.